the GPS that we're creating, those goals, that one goal that we have, this should fall in line with the vision that you have for your business, right? This GPS is just making your vision, the mission statement, actionable, letting you know what actions you need to take for you to achieve your goals, right? You can have more than one GPS for your business, right? Because it's really talking about the goal that you want to accomplish at the end of the year. You're gonna have a GPS for your personal life. What goal are you looking to accomplish? What are the priorities that you need to achieve it? What are the strategies that are going to get you there? 2 more minutes. All right. So we have our GPS listed, right? Who wants to share what they have listed inside of their GPS? Or can I have someone share, please?
My goal is to grow into a team, to grow from being an individual, an individual agent into a team. That's my goal for 2022.
All right. And what are the priorities you need to hit to grow into a team?
So one of my priorities is to establish models and systems and tools that's going to help my team reach the goals that we have.
So another priority.
Making the right first hire.
Great priority, very good. And the next priority?
I'm still kind of fleshing that out, but part of it is having enough work to support having multiple people on a team.
Okay, that's actually, that's a good priority, right? Ensuring that you have enough business to maintain.
Right. So
now let's take one of the categories, right? We want to hire the right person, or we want to have the right business. What are the 5 strategies that you need? What are the 5 strategies that you should go through?
I don't have all 5 of them listed yet, but number 1 was taking this training. That's one of my strategies, to learn how to make the right first hire, what the steps are to go through, how to train, how to retain. So that's one of my strategies.
Now, did you find creating this is now starting to give you a playbook to what you want to accomplish?
Yes, the past 5 minutes has probably been more helpful for me than the spinning my wheels I've been doing for the past 5 months, to be honest.
Well, one thing that you'll find is I want to be very purposeful with the things that we do, right? Alana and I, you see us laughing in the background because one thing I think about all the time is I talk a lot, but I also want to make sure that the words that I'm saying are providing value. And so I remind her sometimes to just throw something at me, but I want to make sure that you're getting something. So hearing that, that's phenomenal. That is absolutely great. Well, now we're going to jump into another activity. This is the very first page of your packet.
All right, so I'm back. I'm like the activity person. Okay, the activity. So by the way, the packet he's mentioning, if you haven't found it yet, it is in the chat box a few times. It's been posted as the link. It's been posted again. So the very first page in the packet is, we're going to take about 5 minutes, and here's what we're going to do. I want you all to picture yourself in the middle of a really busy work week. You can all picture that really well. Picture yourself in the middle of a really busy work week. An unforeseen event comes up that demands your attention. You're putting in hours and feel overwhelmed. In the middle of all of this, your new hire shows up for their first day. Okay, so let's say next Monday, super busy work week, a crazy real estate or life event or something pops up, and that is the same day your first hire, a new person shows up. What are you going to do? I want you to take about 3 to 5 minutes and just write down, what does that look like? Any questions before we start this activity? All right, so take about 3 minutes. And again, you're in a busy work week. That new hire shows up during the same day that an unforeseen crazy event happens, and you 7 listings and 3 buyers, and all of them are about to fall apart. What do you do? All right. So if you're still thinking through this and writing stuff down, please continue to do so. But let's hear from some of you. What are you gonna do? You're going that busy day. New hire started. What are you gonna do? What's your breakdown?
I'm gonna say, welcome to my world, and ask them if they want to run for the hills.
Love that answer. Oh my God. By the way, some of you might have written down question marks. Like, I have no idea. Right? Which is, by the way, still a great thing to write down right now, because that's why you showed up and you're taking this class and you're tuning in to really learn what do you do in those situations. So Nicole's gonna be like, welcome to the chaos.
But then I would probably and like you said, I'm curious to find out, you know, what the training answer is on this, but I would have them shadow me. I would have them shadow me through the day, and kind of talk them through what's going on, and have them make suggestions, ask questions, because if this is my world, I want to see if this person on my team is going to be able to help, you know, make me better and make the whole situation better. So I would have them kind of shadow me through what's going on, and ask them for any kind of insights or feedback, or maybe we'll have like a debriefing after, maybe the next day. You know, this was an interesting first day for you. What did you see? What are your questions? That's probably how I would handle it.
I love that. Nicole, you said something that I really love, and it was you'd ask them for not only their questions, right? Because it's their first day, they don't know what they don't know, so they're going to have a lot. But you also said ask them for their feedback, right? So you're giving them a voice on that very first day, which is so powerful. It shows them that they're part of something bigger than just you and your voice, right? I love that. All right, let's hear from one more person. Anybody else write something down other than run for the hills? That's a good answer. Mike?
I think if you're already planning for their success, you should already have something in place, some things that you want them to learn, things that are important. So if something comes up and you're pulled away, you already have something prepared that you can hand them, and it gives them a moment to do some maybe work on their own. That's an option. Like, yes, you can totally have them follow you and work with you that day. If it's for some reason you don't want them to work with you, you should have something already in place to be able to hand off to them.
So you've prepared ahead of time for any situation that might occur to have things lined up, right? I love that you said that story. I'll share a story right now. A true story. Just happened about 90 days ago. I've hired now 3 people for the coaching department. One started in July. One started in September, and Mike, who just spoke, started almost 3 weeks ago. But by the way, I'm going to keep saying 3 weeks until somebody corrects me and like tells me I have no concept of time. So my second hire, it was Rachel. She's on here not, but she's behind the wall, so she probably heard her name. She's like, "What's up?" So Rachel was my first full-time coach hire. And her very first week and her first start date happened to occur right when I was flying out of town for a family emergency. And now I did know ahead of time that there may be a chance that I might be out of town at some point in time. So not only did I sit down with Melissa, my operations person, and say, "Hey, I need your help. Like, I may be out of town. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know for how long. I need backup." So I went to Melissa. She created this whole thing, because that's what operations people do, right? Created this whole learning path for her. Had, as Mike said, preparation of resources of, okay, what are things that she can do and learn? Who can be other resources so you're not, word we use here a lot, like leadership team is siloed, right? So who can be other resources so that way Rachel had somebody to go to and to shadow what Nicole said, right? Who can she go to throughout the week? Who can she sit with, shadow, learn from? So she's not just sitting in an office twiddling her thumbs like, okay, I started a job, now I'm gonna sit here and I have no clue what I'm supposed to do or be learning. Which, by the way, if that was the case, how do you think that you'll retain that person? If you set a person up without preparation, if I set Rachel up with nothing to do in that first week and no backup and no preparation and just sitting there twiddling her thumbs, what tone does that set for me as a leader and for the team that she's joining and the department she's joining, right? So prior to this emergency that happened, and then her first, was a week and a half or 2 weeks, I wasn't there. Right? I was there for 1 day of her first 2 weeks, but everything was aligned where she had something to do every day to learn from and people to learn from as well and partner with. So preparation. Brandon?
So I think what's key in this, right, in going through that exercise, and Nicole, you mentioned that's kind of why we're here, right? So my answer that I wrote down, and probably because I got a little bit of a smart mouth, my answer was, honestly, I don't know. That's why I'm here, right? But I think what you just heard, and this is what I love about the classes that we have, and I love about agents sharing with each other, we learn from each other, right? We learn the steps to take, we learn what somebody else is thinking because we all don't think alike. But when you hear other agents give some of their viewpoints, their ideas, their strategies, those are little bits and pieces that we pull in together to know where we go forward. So you have your GPS, that tells you where you're going, right? We want to be able to clearly communicate that, right? So if we're looking at our next role or our next thing, we want to define the SMART goals for that person. All right, so what is a SMART goal, right? We know that SMART goal is what they call the acronym that stands for, a specific, measurable, achievable, repeatable, and a timely goal to accomplish, right? In our job with talent, we want to make sure that they're hitting their goals, right? We're here to be a leader. We understand what process we went through. We understood why we need to hire somebody. And now it's time that we're focusing on their goals.
Can I throw something in here?
Oh, absolutely.
So, oh my goodness, SMART goals are so key. And that word repeatable, I'm going to throw another word out there because if you look up SMART goals, you Google it, my favorite word, Google. If you Google SMART goals, that repeatable, the R actually has a few different meanings. So it could be repeatable and it's also realistic. And I want to just throw that word in there as well, because a lot of times, let's throw it this way. We're all here to think about leverage for our future. Who are we hiring? How do we train them? Next Tuesdays, how do we retain them so they don't leave us, right? And if we bring on, let's say, a brand new agent. So if we bring on a brand new agent, never done anything in real estate, and we say to them, all right, your SMART goal is going to be to close 5 deals a month starting in your first month. Is that realistic? I don't want to put limits on people, but is that realistic? What do you guys think? Brand new person, just passed their real estate exam, knows nothing about real estate whatsoever. And we say, hey, your goal, which is specific because it has a number, 5, measurable, you can measure that number. Is it realistic?
Possibly not, unless you're going to be feeding them a ton of deals that you want them to. You're expecting them to from day one. Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. And even if you are feeding them, which you showed value, right? Even if you are feeding them some leads, that first 30 days, they don't know anything. They don't even know how to talk to a buyer, let alone go to show houses, right? So there's a learning curve there. So if we make it if the goal we set is not realistic, again, we're not setting them up for that curve of achievement and training to own their job and actually excel. So throwing that word in there with repeatable and realistic.
So but that's an awesome part of it, right? If it's realistic. So to Mike's point, if we're designing these SMART goals, right? I kind of go back to the level of talent that you're bringing on. If you're bringing on a level of talent that can achieve higher level results, right? Cast your vision large enough that they can see their goals within it. If we're doing this, then the goals that you're setting, are they achievable? Are they realistic? But do they push someone, right? Do they push them to be who they want to be? Does it push talent to show up? Well, that leads us to our next activity.
All right. So, and this activity is going to lead us right into our first break. So just giving you that. So we're going to do a quick activity and then we'll set a little break and then we'll come back. So I want you to think of a role that you intend to hire for. Okay. So this could be a showing assistant, a buyer's agent, an executive assistant, admin, operations. Think of a role that you intend to hire for and identify one SMART goal for that role's 20%. Now, when we say 20%, what we're meaning there is their big rock, right? What is that one main focus you want them to have? So again, think of a role you intend to hire for, identify one specific, measurable, achievable, repeatable, realistic, timely goal for their big rock, their 20%, that you can include in that probationary 30, 60, 90 period. Go ahead and take about a minute or two and think of that. Before we get started, any questions? If you're thinking of a SMART goal, writing that down. And as you are writing down that goal, is it something that's specific that can be measured? I mean, that's a very key thing there. Let's share, what could be a SMART goal, right? So for those of you, I know some there, I actually see a few dual careers on here. So I know you're at your job. Really appreciate you showing up and attending this. And if you're in a place you can't talk, throw it in the chat box so other people can share it as well. Well, let's share a specific thing. What could be a specific SMART goal that we put for, let's say, a buyer's agent we bring on the team? What if we were to say for a buyer's agent, a SMART goal would be to talk to 20 people a day. Maybe to start in their first 30 days is to talk to 10 people a day, that'll build habits. So the SMART goal could be to talk to 10 people a day and add 5 people a day to their database to grow it. Is that specific? Can you measure that? Is that achievable? So when you're setting goals, you need to ask yourself these questions. Is that realistic? If you're a person who starts today as a new agent on your team, a buyer's agent, let's say, and you say, hey, Mike, you just started today, welcome. One of your goals in your first 30 days is going to be to connect with, and we're going to teach you how, connect with 10 people a day. We'll go over what that sounds like. Again, provide the training. You can't just throw out a goal and be like, all right, good luck with that. Talk to 10 people a day about real estate. Add 5 new people to your database to grow your data bank, as we like to call it here. Right? Is that achievable? Is that realistic? Can he repeat it? Is it repeatable? And the timely part of that is a day, right? 10 people a day, 5 people a day to the data bank. That's timeliness, meaning there is a time frame around it, as opposed to saying, hey, welcome, Mike. I'm so excited for you to join this team. Here's this big vision. We're going to do all these great things. And I want you to set some appointments. I want you to talk to some people. And I want you to close some deals to make some great money. How's that sound? Does he have any clarity around what he's doing at all? No? Anything? Mike, do you feel like you know everything you need to do now?
I have the pie in the sky.
High in the sky?
It may help to break it down.
Yeah, because that could mean, by the way, when you don't have something specific, You might have somebody jump in there and they don't know anything, right? Until you teach them. So that might mean to that person, hey, okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm a rock star. I talked to a person today, one whole person. Yeah, I added a person to my database. And to that new person, he might think he's a rock star. But in our minds, we're like, he's not doing anything. What's wrong with him? Maybe that made a bad hire. But it actually falls back on us not providing the clarity of the specifics with that timeliness of when. So really defining those SMART goals is going to help that person reach that level of achievement that you want and really own their job. Thanks and recommended.
All right, so we started our SMART goals. We have an idea, and you broke that down. So now you have the vision, right? You have the GPS that you set up for yourself that you're going to be able to clearly articulate. And now you start to put together the SMART goals that are necessary to move them to the next level, right? All right, so we're going to take a break. We're going to take, let's run through and say a 10-minute break, right? And then we come back, we're going to talk about building the training plan, right? And different resources that we have to go forward with that. So right now it is 10:15. So actually, let's stretch the break until, well, no, let's just do 10 minutes. We'll do 10 minutes. We'll be back at 10:25. All right, starting now. All right. So we're coming back from break. So good break. Good class thus far, right? Nicole, I love that you mentioned that you got a lot out of this class so far to know the steps that you need to take, especially with the goal of hiring and really expanding upon your business. Now, the next step that we were going through, clicker works, is building, you know, the training for that 20%, how to get them to work within their 20%, right? So today's class is really going to be a lot of interaction, right? So what you're going to find is almost every slide there is going to be an activity. Less of me, more of you, right? Why? Because we're going to work through this together to make sure that when we leave today, that you really have an outline of what you are going to train that person, or how you're going to train that person coming in, right? So this part is a little easier, right? So if we're building a training database, right? Our aim, we bring this person in, is to get them to achieve their highest level, right? So what resources do you have available to you right now to be able to create a training database, right? Or create a structure for them to learn within. Think about this from this perspective. Mike mentioned earlier that if it's somebody's first day, right? And think about it, this kind of goes back to what you listed for your first day. You mentioned that you might want to have some things already designed that you can place in front of them so you can kind of accomplish your 20% that day while they're working through. Nicole, you mentioned have them shadow you, walk along with you, right? Just things that you can do to help establish their training. But one big thing that you have, and this is one thing that I'll tell everyone to take advantage of, you have a market center. You have leadership. You have coaches that are here. Most of the trainings that we're doing, we're recording these trainings, we're placing them online. Those recorded trainings, you now have a training library to go through. You have Keller Williams University that you can go through and use. You have all these different resources that are internal. Now, when we start looking at it, one big thing, my very first day inside of KW, I go to KW University, I see all these classes, I see all these things that are out there, and oh, so much stuff, so great for me to take advantage of. Yeah, but what does any of this stuff mean and why would I use it all? Well, this is where you now put some structure into that training material. If you were hiring for an executive assistant, you built out your job description, you built out what you want them to do. If that person is going to be working on cleaning up your database, well, inside of Command, you have, or inside of Command and MyKW, and inside of Connect, you have classes that will go through teach Command training. In the Market Center, we teach Command training, right? The KW International, if you go on Connect, you will find that they have a video that they play and they'll give you the schedule each day of videos that they play. A lot of those videos are in terms of what's new with Command, or what's new with running the database, or some aspect of running your business that now you can pull those things out. You can line them up so that your new hire actually has a database to go through, right? You think about, we're going to the large corporation that some of us have worked with before. We go in on our first day, how many times are we sitting down watching videos that entire first day? What are the videos that you're watching? Establishment of culture, what the systems that you're going to use, how these things work. You can build this out just with the resources that you have. Now, when we talk about those resources, now you get to see, because you built them out, you line them up for that person. One, you're showing them where to go to access more material, but two, you're giving them what's important for them to own their 20%, for them to do their one thing, right? So page 3 of the booklet, the worksheet that we have. All right, we are going to outline, right, one training or coaching resource that you can use with your new hire, right? Now, if you listed your SMART goal, right, then this training resource that you're going to use, it should line up with that SMART goal. So if your SMART goal, right, let's say for me in my world, I use 2-10-40, right? That's a SMART goal for me. 2 appointments a week, 10 conversations that week to get that, which should then lead to 40 conversations each month to get to those 10, or 40 calls and 40 contacts a month to get to the 10, to get to my 2, right? It's SMART, it's measurable, it's achievable, realistic, it's repeatable, and it's timely, right? So now if I'm looking at a resource for me to do that, well, the 2 appointments, one resource that I would use is what conversation should I have on that appointment? Is there an outline for that? If you're hiring for an executive assistant, think about the trainings that we have inside the Market Center. Think about the people that are in your world. What resource can you add that will make training easier for them? You're hiring a showing assistant. Should they shadow you? What does that look like if they are shadowing you? Should they be attending open houses? Are they attending hosting, or are they attending just to observe? What's a resource that you can use to help someone accomplish the SMART goal that you just listed? All right, take a few minutes to go ahead and jot that down and go through. Remember, this is relevant to you and your business. If you're an investor and you're bringing somebody in to invest with you, what investment classes are they teaching? What videos are they watching? It's one resource that you can use to make things easier for yourself, easier to train. Are you setting them up at the Market Center? Are they on a coaching plan to meet with Alana? Are they meeting with me? All right, so let's share with each other, right? What is a resource that you can use to help your new hire achieve their SMART goal?
Ignite training.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nicole, why is Ignite training relevant? Why does that help you achieve that goal? Matter of fact, and what's your SMART goal that you had listed for your new hire?
So I don't have it all fleshed out because I was in the middle of working at that time, but I have it in my head. But the reason why the Ignite training for me will help with those goals is that when I took Ignite training, it gave me, what's the word that I want to use? It helped me understand the vocabulary. It helped me to understand the culture of what KW was about. And so I'm building my business on that. And so that would introduce my hiree to that same, I guess, structure that I have, or foundation that I have. So that we're speaking the same language. We're talking the same language, talking about the same kinds of things. And we both understand equally what that means.
So I think Ignite is an awesome resource, because that's a tool being used to help somebody go through almost like a new agent orientation, right? So it lines them up to go through that. And I think going through Ignite is an awesome tool. Now, here's the question that I'll ask for you. Remember, the training process is about you and what you're providing to them. Are you debriefing with them after each Ignite session?
Well, now that you asked me that, I'm going to put that in my notes to do that.
Well, think about it. If they're there and you built this training resource, how do you know that they're getting the most out of it? How do you know that they're taking that information and running with it the same way that you should, right? Remember, training is about you, so you should be building them up to work within your organization. You're giving them the tools, you're giving them those resources, but you're also bringing that back in to make sure that it falls in line with it falls in line with your organization's goals. And part of them seeing that vision is to decompress, to go through, to meet with them, to have those conversations, right? Well, another way to say that is, what's the accountability measures that we're using, right? And so this is where we kind of come into, right? Not only these resources that you have, but these are your accountability measures that you can use with them. Nicole, you mentioned very early the 30, 60, 90. That 30, 60, 90 is an excellent tool. For those who don't know what a 30, 60, 90 is what steps, what should that associate or new hire be able to own, and what should they have accomplished at the end of 30 days? So they can go forward and they can do this, and then, or let's go backwards is forward, so it should be 96, 30. But at the end of 90 days, they should own this role. At the end of their probationary period, they should own the role of the job, right? What do they need to have accomplished at the end of 60 days so they can get to their task of owning that job at the end of 90 days? What do they need to learn at the end of 30 days so they can accomplish that 60-day goal? It's a phenomenal tool that we use here at KW to help, one, facilitate, but then us to also hold them accountable to make sure that, one, they're using the training resources that we have to follow the SMART goals that you've laid out, which aligns with your GPS, right? Using the GPS in the 411. So I just mentioned, are you having debriefing sessions? Well, if you have goals that are set, you could use the model of a 411, which is, I have one annual goal. What do I need to accomplish at the end of 1 month to reach my annual goal? And then what do I need to do breaking down a month into 4 weeks? What should I have accomplished in those 4 weeks to reach my 1 month goal, to reach my annual goal, the 411? One tool that a lot of us use, and then we go through, and I've even had, and I work with closely, is match coaching, right? We help drive your business, and then you can have your own individual personal coach, in addition to the coaches that are here in the Market Center, who you pay for, who will hold you accountable. And then as always, you have us, the leadership within the Market Center, and you have the coaches that are here to help drive and guide your business as well, right? You use these accountability measures. This will help push you and then a new associate forward as well. So we've covered thus far step one, which is preparing for the role, right? You're preparing for this role. You set goals. You have your GPS. You have your roadmap. You have the accountability measures in place. You have the building, the library resources. All those things are in place. You are lined up. You are organized. You are ready to go forward. Now comes the step two, right? We have 4 main keys to success. The second key is really important. This is setting those clear expectations, right? So we set the clear expectations. One, we have to clarify what they're going to accomplish, what they're going to be working for, what you expect from them in this probationary period, right? And then you need to build their confidence as they're going through that way, as they're going through that role. How do they know they've been successful? How do they know they hit certain metrics? What are you doing to, one, let them know that, hey, keep going forward, keep pushing them, because you know what? You are really good at this. We hired you for a reason. You met all the metrics, and now you're stepping up and you're showing it. Build their confidence. Make sure you have a good plan that they can run with. Are you committed to holding them accountable? Are you committed to holding yourself accountable? Are you allowing them to hold you accountable? Because remember, this training process is about you. Are you giving them what they need? And then, you know, this whole probationary period that they're on, right? You hire anybody, you want to put them on a 90-day window, right? Well, why are we doing that? We want to ensure that they're going to have success. This is also that red light, green light, right? Nicole mentioned very early that, hey, at the earliest possible moment, we realize everything isn't working out. We need to have that ability to step out, right? So we're gonna go to our next activity. This is page 4, right? Or I'll say page 64 at the top left. All right, we're gonna take a few minutes and we're gonna complete this section. I want you to think of that role that you're hiring for, right? So this should be the same role that we've been lining up, that we've been working through. I want you to imagine that the person that you hired in that role is the end of their 90 days. And you knocked it out the park. You got an awesome employee. They are phenomenal. They are a huge success. Matter of fact, everybody's coming to ask you, where'd you find them? Do they got a sister? Do they got a friend? Do they got somebody in their family who wants to come work? Because I need somebody just like them. That's how good of a success they are, right? Well, let's describe what results that we see, right? We want to talk about in each area. What results do they have in the role that you hired them for? What do they do for your organization? How do they help with communication and collaboration, whether it's with your teammates, your vendors, or your clients, right? And then how do they communicate and how do they collaborate with you? All right, so I want us to take 5 minutes. Let's detail as much as possible. But let's map this out. You've hired an awesome associate. They are truly helping everything that you have in your business. How do they show up? What does it look like at the end of 90 days in each of those roles? What makes us see that they're a success? And I'll give us roughly 5 minutes on that one. It'll be abbreviated 5 minutes, but I'll give us roughly 5 minutes. That person is a success, phenomenal. Are we thinking about hiring the next person because this person's so great that our business improves? Are we now getting more referrals in because now you're spending more of your time in your 20%? Now that you get to spend more time in your 20%, how has your business changed? What does communication structure look like? How fluid, right? Very great success. So how fluid is the communication? For some of us, how challenging is that communication? Do they push you the way that you need to be pushed? What does that look like? This is all part of you casting that vision. You're casting that vision large enough so that associate can be within it and they can reach these goals. But you got to see what it looks like once they get there. If you get that person. We're digging through what does it look like? 2 more minutes. Earlier in the day, we talked about freedom. What it means for us to have that freedom. You got the person that's giving you the freedom. How does that show up in your business? Your personal life. How does that change because you had somebody give you some freedom, some time back? Does real estate become full-time work now? Does your organization go from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5? Do you have more options? Are you expanding territory, right? We love saying take territory. Is that what we're able to do now? 1 more minute. Does your marketing plan change? Are we making more money? Are we investing more money? It's amazing. This person is so phenomenal. Your world is changing as we speak. 30 seconds. All right, so what do we have? What does it look like, right? That person has been very successful in that role. What does success look like for your organization? So that's what does success look like in the role? So we've hired that person, they've been great. What do we just jot down? What does success look like for the person who's been in that role? So for me in the role that I'm looking at, right, and we've mentioned my GPS, I need to hire an ATL. So at the end of 90 days, I now have somebody who is consistently on a daily basis, scheduling, attending, hosting appointments, reaching out and have a marketing platform designed to attract and gather new agents on a daily basis, right? Freeing me up to 1, have more conversations with agents, teach more, be engaged more, right? So now the organization gets the benefit because we're constantly growing. But 2, we get to have me more engaged with clients and agents on a regular basis. Communication structure for us is awesome because that person is now communicating our success of those goals, right? They'll be able to be there where on a week like this week where I'm in an all-day class today, right? And we'll finish a little bit early. To be honest with you, we might finish around 1 o'clock. the way things are looking, and might actually finish a little bit earlier than that. So I'll push through for us. But then on Wednesday and Thursday, I am out of town. Next week, I'm out of town for a couple trainings. But we have somebody who's here who's continuously pushing us forward and growing. Well, that's awesome, right? That's great for this organization. But how do they collaborate? Well, now everyone is engaged. They're keeping everyone there. Everyone's having a great time. They love interacting with them, which means that our culture is still strong. And actually, our culture is better because they are here. So in that 90 days, I can't wait to have that person here, because now we literally have a strong organization that grows and flourishes because of the person that we're bringing in. So the next part, right, we're talking about that expectations conversations, right? Set clear expectations. How do we do that? Well, this really happens from a process, and really it's 6 steps inside of this process, right? Remember how my mind works. I know a task, I break down what's needed in that task, and we can accomplish it, right? Well, part of everything, and if you noticed, almost every bullet point that I give you, almost every slide, almost every option that we talk about, part of the first slide is making sure you understand where you are, where you're going, right? So if I'm going to give clear expectations to somebody, I'm reviewing my GPS. I'm reviewing the job profile that we have set up, right? Why am I reviewing that? It's one, I'm excited about their arrival, right? I'm excited that they're committed to be here. This GPS that I'm showing them shows the big goal that we have ahead and the priorities that are needed to achieve, but then it also shows them with their job and their profile, how they fit inside of this. And now that excitement that I have, it turns into the excitement that they have. Now that we're excited, now I'm going through, I'm going to present that 30, 60, 90 to them, right? So at the end of 90 days, this is what you're going to be able to accomplish, right? This 30, 60, 90, again, training is about you, not about them. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to present to you. This is what I'm going to make sure that you're able to do. So at the end of this 90 days, you're ready to go. So now we're looking at it. End of 90 days, boom, this is what I'm going to hold you accountable to achieve. But to get there in the 60 days, this is what I'll have you trained on in 60 days so you can hit that goal. In the first 30 days, this is the path that we're going to go through so you can hit that 60-day goal. Now you've laid out, right? One thing Melissa said she loved when she started that job, and they had everything clearly planned out for her. You're giving them those steps, right? So if you look at your guide, right? This actually has on page 5, 6, and 7, it actually outlines how you have that conversation. It actually outlines the steps. It outlines the 30, 60, 90. This actually gives you examples of a 30, 60, 90 on page 6 and 7. Gives you examples of the 30, 60, 90 that you have for hiring a buyer, a showing assistant, and hiring an executive assistant. You have those keys that you get to go through, right? You presented that 30, 60, 90. Now you're expanding. You want to talk about that 20% that they're going to own, right? So we know this 90 day is a probationary period. So if we're going through that probationary period, we want them to be focused on what 20% do they need to own in this time frame. If they understand that they own this 20% in this probationary period, they own this job going forward, right? We know it takes a while to get somebody to master it, but if you can master this one thing in this role, then I know that you're going to shine, right? Help them understand what that one thing is. Next in that conversation, we're going to talk about earning the role, right? We just talked about if you can earn that 20%, it takes a while to master that craft. But now that you earn that 20%, we'll give you the time necessary for you to master this craft. And we're going to continue to go through the support that's necessary. Once you achieve your one thing in the first 90 days, what else do we need to put in? You're going to be surprised that person at the end of 90 days will probably build new systems that can help them go even further, but help you go further as well. Now, you had this conversation with them before, but you're always going to go back to it. It's the accountability piece, right? We remember when we hired that person, we asked them, how honest should we be? We told them how honest we want them to be with us, right? You're going to point out now that we're going to have these regular conversations, and we're having these regular conversations, whether it's, and it looks different, right? We had the tools before, but you're going to have your morning stand-up. After the morning stand-up, what are you going to have? You're going to have your your weekly 411s. You're going to have your monthly GPS review. You're going to have different meetings that are set up to hold each other accountable to making sure your business is taking the right steps forward. You want to know the difference that holding somebody accountable makes? We all know that holding accountable works wonders, right? Real life example, happened in the market center, conversation that I was had on Monday, reviewing at 411 with an associate. We set their 411 up to go through weekly. There were 2 weeks because of vacations and travels that we didn't go through, but we road mapped out for those 2 weeks ahead of time. When we first sat down, we were going over what they wanted to accomplish. The phrase was given that there is so much for me to do. I don't think I can add anything else on, but I know I have to add this into my business. If I don't add this in, then I won't have a business. I need to do it. But I don't have time. I don't have a schedule. I don't have a schedule. We went through the 411, we broke down. This is your priority. These are the goals that we need to do to get there. These are the steps we're going to take. This is how we're going to knock this out week by week. It's been 3 weeks. You know what that conversation has shifted to? The exact same number of items that they couldn't take care of on that list. They're now saying that I have so much free time, I need to figure out what else I can do. All because it's now organized and they have a system to hold themselves accountable to go forward, right? So the last part is, we're presenting that schedule, right? We're presenting them that schedule to know what the first 90 days looks like, right? We did it with the 30, 60, 90, but then we can break down what's the accountability schedule that we're going to go through. How often are you meeting? You have those stand-ups, right? You meet the weekly reviews. And then you're going to teach them how to prepare for each of your meetings, right? The one thing about meetings is, and I've been in multiple organizations where every day it was nothing but meetings, day in and day out. I think I said last week I only had 9 free hours. Everything else that week was scheduled meeting. Well, here's the interesting part about that. If you have set the expectations for what the meeting should look like, it makes it a lot easier to attend, right? Tell that associate up front. When we're sitting down, we're going through our morning huddle. Our morning huddle, if you're a showing assistant, it's going to be just as simple. These are the buyers that we're working with right now. These are the properties that were sent to them. These are their schedule for this week. This is what they're going to achieve. These are the homes that they want to see today. Who did you show yesterday? Whom we know. If it's your assistant should be outlining what we accomplished yesterday. What are our steps? What we're going to accomplish today. Set a structure. What you'll find is the meetings go faster, the meetings are more productive, and you are moving the needle forward without feeling as if you are monopolizing your day with just dead space for meeting time. So, we want to go through. And our next activity that we have. We want to go through using the 30, 60, 90 and having that conversation, right? So, Angelique, Ellis, and Nicole, are you guys in a position right now? You can throw this in the chat or take yourselves off mute. Are you guys in a position right now that you can do a little role play together?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to pair you guys up. I want you to role play. As a matter of fact, we're going to do it just here live. So in your activity book, right? This should be the 6th page where it says, the activity time, set expectations, pair up with a partner. What we're going to do is we're going to use the 30, 60, 90 plan that you see behind it, right? I want you to choose whether you're hiring for a showing assistant or an executive assistant. And I want you to go through steps 2 and 3 of our conversation, right? That's going presenting 30, 60, 90 and explaining their one thing or their 20%, right? Role play, each of you go back and forth, right? I'll listen in and I'll kind of interject and just give a little bit of tidbits. But then we're going to talk about what that conversation looked like. So choose whether you want to do the showing assistant or the executive assistant that you see behind page 6 or page 6 activity.
I do executive assistant.
Okay, perfect. All right, so the conversation that we're going to have, you're going to have that conversation. Let's review the 30, 60, 90. And then just role play with each other. All right, so if you're doing the executive assistant, and I'm sorry, I didn't see. So Angela, are you doing the executive or Nicole, are you doing the executive?
That was Nicole.
Nicole's doing the executive.
All right, so Angela, you be the associate that she just hired, and you guys just role play back and forth. So Nicole, here's the easy part. I'm going to tell you when you have something that you are reviewing and you're setting expectations with, to be clear, read verbatim. Let them know that you're reading right off the page. It comes off better, it flows easier, and now it's not you interjecting your opinion, you are going strictly off fact. So as you go through reviewing the 30, 60, 90, just read off the page and then highlight in what you want to see. All right, you guys can begin. I'll just kind of sit in the background, listen and jump in here.
Okay, so Angelique, can you hear me first?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm so excited to have you as a part of the team. And today we're going to go over the plan that we have for the next 30, 60, and 90 days. I have a sheet in front of me that outlines what we would like to accomplish in that time. I'm going to read off of that sheet and you let me know if you have any questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for the first 30 days, what I would like for you to accomplish is to create email templates to handle most frequent customer inquiries, create a system for handling all financials and effectively communicate it to the team, and to create systems to manage buyers, sellers, lead generation, database management, and back office support. So that's what we would like to accomplish in the first 30 days.
Okay.
And any questions?
Yes. The one question I have is because I know you hired me for this position, but I want to make sure I'm doing everything correctly. So would there be someone that I can go to get assistance if needed?
Sure. So in that 30-day time, as we're working towards accomplishing these goals, I am going to make sure that you have resources, be it myself or someone else on the team, that will help to give you the training necessary and the resources necessary to accomplish these goals, to direct you to the appropriate systems that you can use in order to do the templates, to enter your financials, and to meet these objectives. So there will be myself and someone else on the team who will be there as resources for you.
So I'm gonna pause you
That
guys.
answer your question?
Yes.
So I'm gonna pause you right there. So let's rewind, right? And I'll have you go through again, but I want to say one thing. Remember that the first 30, 60, 90 days is about you, not about them, right?
Okay.
So if I'm going through these 30-day goals, we want them to understand that this is what you will be able to empower them to be able to do. This is what I'm going to show you. This is what I'm going to help you accomplish.
Okay.
And then from Angelique's standpoint, her question is you're telling me this is what you want me to take care of. My first question that goes through my head, and the same thing that she asked was, well, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get to this? But now if we phrase it and we just make sure that we remember, and this kind of goes into why I go through thought process first. The words that we use and what comes out, our intentions come out with it also. If train is for us, train is for us, train is for us, to make sure we're empowering them. Now, when I say, all right, so in the first 30 days, this is what we're going to work through. I'm going to make sure that I've trained you so that you're able to create email templates and handle most of the customers' inquiries. I'm going to teach you a system and help you create one, right? Now, you're a builder. I want you to have as much autonomy as you want, because right now, the systems that we're using, I want to see if we can span to work something else out. But I want to give you the tools necessary so that you can create a system for handling the financials and effectively communicate things to the team. And then as the first 30 days, we're working together. We want to create this system, right? I want you to be able to own it, but I want you to be able to help me create a system. And I'm going to work with you so you can see exactly what we need. But we're going to create a system to manage the buyers, sellers, and our lead database, right? And the back office support. I'm letting them know that I'm here, I'm walking them with them. Remember that curve that we go through. Your full support, full supervision, first 30 days. 60
Gotcha.
days now starts to balance out. 90 days, they're taking ownership, right? So have you role play again, go through the first 30 days.
So Angeline, in the first 30 days, I will be working along with you to make sure that you have all the tools you need and feel empowered to be able to create email templates to handle the most frequent customer inquiries, to create a system for handling all financials and effectively communicating it to the team, and to create a system to manage buyers, sellers, lead generation, database management, and back office support. So we'll be working together, the two of us, to make sure that you have all the tools that you need, that I give you all the information and I'm available for you to be able to create these systems and own this process at the end of your 90-day period.
So I guess my concern is, and I noticed I have worked with, other owners or brokers, is that sometimes I can't get to them because they're very busy. So is there like a certain time period that's allocated just for you and I to work together?
Yes, during this training, we will have meetings that will be scheduled on a regular basis. I'm going to be setting expectations for what we're going to accomplish during those meetings, and how you should prepare for those meetings so that we can accomplish the goals that we attend to at each one of those meetings.
Thank you.
Brandon,
Go through your 60 days. Yep, go through the 60 days.
I'm sorry.
Go through the 60-day now.
Okay. So for the 60-day period, what we're going to accomplish together is to empower you to own all financials and effectively communicate metrics to myself and the team, to own and manage all systems for buyers, sellers, lead generation, database management, and back office support, and to handle all customer service inquiries within 24 hours. That's the goal that we're looking to achieve, and making sure that you have the tools empower you to be able to do that at the 60-day mark.
At the end, yep, at the end of your 60 days, you should be able to own these roles, right? Notice the difference between the 30 and 60, right? In the 30 process, as you're explaining it to them, you're explaining that you're going to help them be able to create these things so they can have it. But at the end of the 60 days, the things that we worked on and we created together, you're now going to own these items, right? And now that you own them, and think about that same metric where we have a job, you're doing it, right? The first 30 days, you're still doing it, but now they're starting to do it. So now we do it, but now they should be doing it, right? And on that same graph that we saw, now we're at that midpoint where your supervision is almost on par with them owning it and them kind of kicking you out of the way because they own this job and this role, right? Go
Right.
forward to 90 day.
So after 90 days, at the end of your 90 days, the metric to making sure that you're able to own this responsibility will be creating operations manual that documents all the systems and standards that we created together in the first 30 days, to own and build the communication systems for the lead agent, and to oversee and assure accurate execution of all contracts through closing. So this is the expectation for you to make sure that you're owning this role and you're able to accomplish these things independently at 90 days.
And as we're saying it, I want to say, make sure, because there's a couple phrases. This is about what you're giving them, what you're empowering them to be able to do, right? So at the end of the 90 days, right, if we went through training and you're owning everything that we've accomplished, these are the things that you'll be able to take care of from the training that we've gone through in this 90-day period, right? All right, let's flip sides, Angeline.
Oh. Okay. Thank you for accepting this position. So what we're going to do is, I have certain goals that I have set out for you. We're going to have a 30-day goal, a 60-day goal, and a 90-day goal. So the first thing we want to go over is the 30-day goal. So within 30 days, I want you to create email templates to handle most frequent customer inquiries, create a system for handling all financial and effective communication into the team, and create systems to manage buyers, sellers, lead generation, database management, and back office support. Now, do you have any questions concerning your 30-day goals?
Not at this time.
Okay, so once we complete your 30-day goals, we're going to work on your 60-day.
Let me pause you. Same thing that I told Nicole. Remember, this is about you, not about them.
Okay.
This is about what you're going to be able to empower your talent to be able to do at the end of this time frame, right? So when we're saying that, we want them to feel that this is what you are giving them. This is what you're training them to do. This is what we're encouraging them to be able to accomplish. So when we say it, right, and this is the verbs that you use, is you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to.
Okay.
You heard it, right? They're here, they went through this process, and they're excited to be in your world, right? So now that I'm here in your world, this is essentially, we think to that first day process, this is essentially your first day conversation with them, right? And in this first day conversation, it's not so much what I'm throwing on your shoulders, it's, hey, this is what I am going to do, so that now when it's your turn to run with this, you can run with it very easily, right? So go back through the 30 days, just have you rephrase it. Just remember, this is about you and what you're empowering them with.
Hello, Nicole. Thank you for accepting this position. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you your 30-day goals that you're going to complete within 30 days. The first item would be you are going to create email templates to handle most frequent customer inquiries. You're going to create a system for handling all financial and effective communication to the team. You're going to create systems to manage buyers, sellers, lead generation, database management, and back office support. After 30 days, we're going to go into your 60-day goals. You're going to own all financials and effectively communicate matrix to leaders, own and manage all systems for buyers, sellers, lead generation, database management, and back office support. In addition to handle all customer service inquiries within 24 hours. Within 90 days, you're going to update and create operation manuals that document all systems and standards, own and build a communication system for the lead agent, oversees and ensure accurate execution of all contracts through closing. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
I'm a role player. I have questions.
Oh, no.
How am I? I've never really looked at financials before, so how am I going to handle that part of it?
Well, if you haven't looked at the financials, I have a background in accounting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit down with you and I'm gonna set up a time and maybe it could be Monday at 5 o'clock after hours, if you don't mind. And we're gonna sit down and I'm gonna go over the financials. We're gonna go over your profit and loss statements. We're gonna go over your cash flow statements, and we're gonna go over the balance sheets. So I'm gonna sit down with you one-on-one.
And then you mentioned that I'm going to own that and then own managing and talking to everyone on the team and all the clients. How are you doing that right now? And am I just going to take over and do that, or how does that work?
On a minute. You're going to take that on right now.
You say 60 days, and I got to create a process. So if I got to do that from day one, I'm just kind of wondering what that actually is going to look like.
What we're going to do is I'm going to sit with you and we're going to work together on implementing a system for the buyers, sellers, and lead generation. Then once you feel comfortable, then you're going to own and manage the system.
That part right there, that's what I want you to get to. But that's how I want you to present it. I want you to present it in that same fashion of, hey, I'm going to work with you, right? So if I'm going through the 30-day goals, Angela, I'm so glad that you joined the organization. And I'm so excited that we're going to accomplish so much. Matter of fact, you know the way I work, and you know just from this interview process, I have a lot of goals and a lot of things I want to accomplish, but the beauty of it is you do too. I want to outline how we're going to work together to get there. So in the first 30 days, right? And really, I think about this process and what you're going to be able to accomplish at the end of the 90-day window. But to get there, we got to get through the first 30 days first. So in the first 30 days, this is what we're going to do together, right? I'm going to work with you. So I'm going to be able to help you let your creative juices shine. I'm going to help you be able to create email templates that you can handle most of the frequent customer inquiries. I'll let you know what those inquiries are. We'll work together so you can create a template that works good for you. We're also going to work on a system, right? We're going to try to create a system that can handle all of our financials, that can easily communicate it to everyone in our world, right? I'll work with you on that to know what things that need to be there, but then have you take some ownership. And you've been great. Your background says that you can handle this. So I really want to work together so you can take that on. And then next, we're going to create a system to do the same thing, communicate, manage our buyers, our sellers, to be able to communicate with them. So while I'm working with you on that 30 days, at any point in time that you have it and you have a great system, don't worry, you'll be able to kick me out because I want to empower you with this. So then when we get to the end of our 60-day period, this is the beauty of it. You're going to be able to own the communication structure of our financials and communicate that effectively to me, right? By doing that, now you're going to be able to own all of the systems in which we communicate with our buyers and sellers, right? And then you're going to handle all the customer service inquiries, right? I want you to build a system, but in that system that we create and we build together, We want at the end of 60 days that you're able to communicate with everybody effectively within a 24-hour span. Now, this is the beauty. If we work through this plan and I'm helping coach you to this, at the end of our 90-day period, well, honestly, you're going to be able to update, create, manipulate, just control an operations manual so that if we look to hire someone in the future and we're giving you help and we're giving you support, you have a playbook already laid out with what you've created and what you've installed. I want you to build out a better communication system. You're going to already have that. Think about what we did. One, we learned how to communicate. Two, you took over how we're communicating, but now I'm going to let you build that out, because if you're owning that world, it gets to come from you and be more of your voice versus mine. And then, honestly, you're going to oversee our entire process of how we go from the initial setup to closing with the client. Mind you, we're working through that from the first 30 days. You're taking some ownership at the end of 60 days. At the end of 90, man, this is going to be the world that you own. And you're honestly going to kick me out to the point where this will be you and I'll be coming asking you for questions versus you for me, right? I'm always here to support, but this is the path that I have set up that's going to give you success as we go forward. You hear the difference. The difference in that conversation is now about what we're doing together, how I'm getting you to own this job, and then letting you see that you own this job so you're running with it, right? That's how we want to use this 30, 60, 90 conversation to go forward, right? So let me ask, right? So we've had the conversation, we did it. What do you hear that's empowering when we go through the conversation that way?
What's empowering is that at the end of this 90-day process, the hiree has ownership.
Ownership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so now we think back to that first day, right? And how important that first day really is. This gives them a tremendous first day conversation, right? Their first day looks a lot different, right? They're actually excited about what they're going through, right? We have somebody that's talented. They want to be empowered. They want to know how they can help. I mean, the honest part is we think about any job that we've gone into. We go into that job thinking about, how can I make this place better? How can I leave a name? How can I be effective when I'm here? And that's what this conversation really allows us to do, right? So now I want us to go back, right? I want us to go to the very last page of our worksheet, right? This is going to look very similar to what we did in the very beginning. We're going to write this out. We're in the middle of a busy work week, right? As usual, more unseen events pop up in the work week, right? Something related, it's a fire burning that demands your attention. So you're putting extra hours in. As always, we feel overwhelmed. Remember, this is what we hired the person for. And in the middle of all this, new hires showing up today, right? Now think about the steps that we have. Think about what we just outlined. Think about the steps that are on the screen right now. What are you going to do so that you can shift your time and attention to your new hires, onboarding, training, and development? What does that first conversation look like? Let's map that out, and then we're going to compare it to what we did earlier today. You have like 3 minutes to go through it. All right, so what do we got? What does it look like? Brought the person in, what do we have listed?
Well, the first thing I put was to do this 30, 90, 30, 60 day, have this 30, 60, 90 day conversation, but step one might need to happen up on the screen to review the GPS and the job profile. But what I would be trying to get to is to getting them to understand what the expectations are for the 30, 60, 90 days, to try to engage them, not try, but to engage them in some training. So to direct them to training resources, go online, take this training, and to connect for them what that training should be, what they should get out of that training that's going to help them with that 30, 60, 90 day goal, particularly the first 30-day goal. And then have them do that while I'm taking care of the other things, and then have a debrief at the end of the day about what their training, what they got out of their training, and how it works towards the first 30-day goal.
Perfect, perfect. So Nicole, to go back to the very first page of the packet, that same question was asked. What was your answer at the beginning of the day?
Ask them, tell them welcome to my world, and ask them if they want to run for the hills.
So now it looks like we got a much better plan, right? So at least they're not running for the hills any longer, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's awesome. Angela, what about you? What do you have?
I wasn't able to do it. I was working on something else. I'm trying to multitask here.
It's all right. It's all right. Well, you got this pack. This pack is gonna be well worth going through as you have. All right, so we went through the first 2 of 4 steps in the training process, right? So now we prepare for the role, right? We know how valuable that is. We've set some clear expectations. And now we've gotten to the part where we need to evaluate this. Sorry about that. We need to evaluate the talent that we have, right? Are they successful in this? Are we giving them the proper feedback, right? So we're evaluating the talent. It's really that probationary period that we have. It's that 30, 60, 90. We're using that as the stopgaps to see, right? Now we're doing a red light, green light. This is exactly what we do with 30, 60, 90 because you just empower them. If I'm empowering them and I'm walking with them to create email templates and things of that nature, remember, we want them to own that job by the end of 60 days. So at the end of 30 days, if I'm trying to get them to the point where they can take over the email, if they still can't log into the email account, is this going to be successful? If you've given them the proper tutelage, right? Using different worlds, art of war, Sun Tzu. So if I bring someone into my organization and I don't give them proper training and they fail, is that their fault or is that mine? It would be mine. If I bring them into my world and I give them proper training and then they fail after that, and then I go back, I pick them up, I give them more training, I make sure that we communicate in a way that's necessary, and then they fail. Now I can feel confident saying that this isn't on me, it's on them, right? So what are we doing? How do we do this? How are we focusing on their ability to accomplish their goals, right? Right, we're looking at fact, not fiction, right? If we start there, our fact, not feelings, if we start there, it makes it a lot easier, right? So at the end of 90 days, at the end of this probationary period, we think about that 30, 60, 90, they should be able to own the role. They should be able to own their 20%. They should be able to own the one thing that we've been teaching them how to do. If they can do that, then we know that they can evolve, they'll develop, they'll flourish, right? So what facts do we see? That 30, 60, 90 is now the guide that you get to go back and use, right? We're going to use that guide, but then we're also going to take a look at each meeting that you have. We said we set them up. If you're having your daily stand-up meetings, in addition to those daily stand-up meetings, you're having goal reviews, you're reviewing your GPS. We are doing real conversations with the associates that we have because we want to make sure that, one, we are giving them all the energy, all the effort, all the technology, all the support that they need to be successful. If we are doing those items, we should definitely be able to help them go forward, right? Let's see. Let's see. All right. So, which page is it? I have it listed on it. But there's an activity that I want us to go through, right? This activity will be relatively quick. I want to read this off and I want you to give me your thought process of it, right? So this is us using fact, not feelings, and walk through. So imagine your new hire, right? Is a new buyer's agent, and you gave them a goal of 5 appointments this week. He only achieved 1, and he feels lost in his role. He hasn't attended any of your meetings, right? Or any of your lead generation sessions, or your script practice sessions, right? You've told him about them, but it's not written down anywhere. You just told him that you have them. So what I want us to do, let's create 2 sample pieces of feedback, right? The first is going to be based off the facts that we just went through, and then the second will be based off the emotion of what we just reviewed. So I'll read it again. Your new buyer's agent has a goal of 5 appointments this week. He only achieved one and he feels lost in his role. He hasn't attended the team's lead generation session or your script practice sessions. And you've told him about those sessions, but it's not written down anywhere. So what is a conversation you can have with this new hire that is based on fact from what we just read?
Well, number one, I think I would communicate to this new hire that we're going to write down what is the expectations as far as some attending the meetings and the script practicing sessions. We're going to write those things down so that we are both, it's in black and white what is expected for him to do to reach those goals. So that's the first part of the conversation.
You know
And
what I
then-
love about that? And I'm gonna pause you there, but you know what I love about that? Is you just had a fact-based conversation that was based on, hey, this training period is about me, what I am doing to help you get to where you need to be. And because this is about me, I recognize that I didn't have this written down. So now it's in black and white. So you know, one, its importance, and two, where it should be. I love that that's the way that you took that conversation to start with. I think that's phenomenal. Thank you. Keep going.
And then I would have the conversation about how attending those sessions, attending those meetings, attending those script training sessions will help to get better results.
Now, is that part of the conversation an emotion-based conversation or a fact-based conversation? That second part.
Well, it's based on results and him not attending versus him attending. So I think that's facts.
So there's a factual element to it, but it all depends on how you set it up, right? So you said, if you attend this, you'll get better results. That's emotion because there's no fact. Well, unless you have the proven knowledge of everyone else who's attending has better results, then it's opinion-based. But the fact of it is, hey, you've went through your options, right? You've been doing this on your own. And the fact is you've only achieved one appointment. You also told me that you feel lost inside of the role. Well, now we have it in black and white that we're doing our sessions. But if we do it this way, the results that I've had from a lead gen session, I've had 5 appointments this week. We can give experience, everything else, but the only way you can get to your experience is if you're a part of what we listed in black and white, which is your script practice and sessions that we go through, right? That's how you talk fact into it, where you keep your conversation factual versus emotional. Emotional leads to more conversation. It leads people coming back in with, no, but what you did was, or, well, if you really would have gave me this, it lets people let their emotions come in and lets them interject, but you can't argue with fact.
Right.
Fact is clear in black and white, right? All right. So I love the quotes that we have. I love the very first part, I think, is the biggest key. Recognizing that, hey, this was my misstep. We didn't have it written down, but this is why it's important to write it down. We're going forward. I think that will take you a long way, because if you do it that way, now they understand that you're vested, right? Clear communication, you're vested in them. This is about what I'm giving you, and I want to make sure that you're going where you need to go. We're working to make sure that talent is going to own the job, and for them to own their job, they can't feel lost. They have to have that clear direction. Absolutely amazing. Good job. So when we're having this system of accountability, right? We talked about using fact versus feelings. What are we doing in our accountability systems to ensure that this same exact example that we gave, right, where they're not attending our sessions, how are we engaging with them? How are we ensuring that they are following a process, right? So again, we are a business of systems and tools, right? So part of the systems and tools that we have are utilizing just some simple things, a daily stand-up. So you want to take notes? I'll walk through what a daily stand-up looks like. Daily stand-up starts off with something very simple, simple measure of gratitude. Somebody did something great yesterday at work, small, large, doesn't matter, but a simple level of gratitude, recognizing small acts that people have done. Then in that stand-up, each member of the team should just address quickly what their target focus is for that day or what they're working on. Now, if they're talking about what they're working through, we should be able to celebrate the successes that each person is having through the course of their day or through their business, right? We want to recognize any special events, birthdays, events that are coming up, holidays that are there, right? We take that time during this daily stand-up just to touch base on, put it on everyone's calendar. And then this daily stand-up is a very quick meeting. We end it with an affirmation for the team. That affirmation can be something very simple as just, hey, this is the goal that we're working to every day. It could be a famous quote that you have. It could be something that just ties people back into the business and what goal they're working for. That's very quickly your daily stand-up. Now, individually.
Can you please run through those again?
Sure. All right, so your daily stand-up, it starts with a small recognition of gratitude. Nothing more than just verbally giving gratitude for small acts that have happened within the business, or small acts that have happened personally, professionally, just a small measure of gratitude, just verbally appreciating. Each member of the team should address what they're working on, right? What are you working towards that day, that week? Where are you within that goal that you're working on? Then we're going to celebrate any successes that the team has had or anyone individually has had, or a special event, special day. And then you end with an affirmation for the team, right? Daily stand-up. So give you an example of how it starts off. So small measure of gratitude. Melissa actually told you earlier this week, thank you. You actually mentioned to me that I was working in a way that could burn myself out. I appreciate that. It helped me reset within my goals and what I should be doing. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. In regards to what we're working on. So today, I'm teaching a class, and then also this afternoon, I have another class that I need to go to because I'm shadowing in and I am being a reserve teacher for that class. So that's my focus throughout the day. Everyone else will share what their focus is, right? And then celebrate successes. A success that I can say from the class, or matter of fact, a success that we had from yesterday, it looks like we have a great candidate that we may be bringing into our organization. Another small measure of gratitude. Thank you guys for attending the social to me with our associate as well, right? And then a small measure of affirmation. Well, I can do something just as simple as this, right? You don't have to recreate the wheel. You can actually repeat the same thing over and over again. Well, what we're here for, just to remind everybody, our business, we're in the business of revolutionizing people's relationships with real estate. We do that by the people who are within this organization. We have a team that's full of innovative leaders to push us forward. And these innovative leaders, if we are revolutionizing people's relationship to real estate, we are protecting our wealth and creating opportunities for wealth as we go forward for everyone within our world. Want everybody to have a great day? Let's knock it out. Just that simple, right? Doesn't have to be anything more than 5-10 minutes, just kind of a kickstart to the day. Now, we talk about goal development. A way to go through goal development is with the 411, right? Your 411 is a goal review on an individual and personal level. If you guys were in Ignite, I went through 411s with everybody, right? And I actually shared my 411 that I go through, right? So my 411, when I shared it in the class, I made sure everybody could see that my 411 was more than just professional. My 411 covered professional and personal goals that I'm working towards. It covered goals that I have set for this business that I'm working in today. It covered goals for the business that I'm working with my wife. And then it covered goals for what I have personally that I want to achieve and get to. If you are sitting down with your talent, this should be something that you're reviewing with them, right? You're going to review their yearly goal. Their yearly goal from a professional standpoint should tie in with your company's yearly goal, should tie in with your GPS, right? You want to make sure that their monthly goals that they're working towards, that it fits within the SMART goal that you set for their business, right? Or you set for their role, right? And then as they're working through the weekly things, those weekly things should help them accomplish what should be there on their 30, 60, 90, right? And if you're doing this on a weekly basis with them, you're reviewing with them, what you're going to find is And I will be flat out honest, this is the biggest challenge that you're going to go through as you go through this 30, 60, 90 with true talent. They are probably going to accomplish the 60-day goal within 30 days. The 90-day goal, they're probably going to have ready to take care of at 60 days. If they are at that position where they are owning this job at that point in time, this is your biggest challenge. How do you put more things in front of them so that they can run, so that they can keep going forward? How are you still casting that vision large enough that they still want to be there? Nicole, you said in the very beginning, right? When we looked at your GPS, you said one of the strategies, right, or one of the priorities was making sure that you have enough business for them to be there. True talent will have you feeling that way over and over again, which for you is going to be an awesome feeling because now this is talking about your growth and where you're going. So our next accountability tool that we'll use, that 30, 60, 90, right? So we have that 30, 60, 90, and we're going to evaluate. Just because we give it to them at the 30, 60, 90 on day one, we need to be going back. At the end of 30 days, we need to pull up that 30, 60, 90 and say, all right, it's been 30 days. We said we wanted to be able to create email templates. Did we check that off the list? Boom. We said we wanted to create a communication platform. Did we do this? Boom. Now, think about what I said. We want to give positive reinforcement. You're using that 30, 60, 90, and now it's positive to see that, oh man, I've accomplished everything that we set out to do. We really knocked some things off this list. Now, when we get to that 90-day evaluation, that 90-day evaluation, you're going back. And this part of that 90-day evaluation is really for you, right? This whole training process is for you. But go back at the end of 90 days. Or if they've accomplished 30, 60, 90, they've accomplished and they've mastered their 20%, they've accomplished everything that you wanted them to do in 90 days. They did it sooner. You should go back and reread your job profile. Go back and look at your organization chart of when you wanted, before you brought them in to where you are today. Look at your organization's GPS. This should be that moment, right? And we go back to earlier today. I asked you at the end of 90 days, and it was one of the activities that we went through, right? I said at the end of the 90 days, this person has been phenomenal. What does success look like? This is what you're doing at the end of 90 days. You're going back, you're going to look at this, and you're going to say, all right, this is where this needle has been moved forward. You now have somebody who's added so much value to your business. They own their 20%, right? Now we need to figure out what our next step is, right? Is this talent? Are we green lighting them? Are we continuing to move forward? And what you're going to find is that that person fits every metric, and now your world is improved because they've been done so much. You got a great associate, right? You got a great person. And so now we went through this training process, right? So we evaluated talent, and now the last step here is ensuring you have ongoing talent. As I mentioned, the toughest challenge is somebody accomplishes what you wanted them to reach at the end of 90 days in a faster time frame. How are you now keeping your vision large enough for them? Right? Going back to review, make sure that you remember what talent looks like on a regular basis to make sure the talent is still showing up, right? They can be great in the first 90 days, and true challenge, your vision isn't big enough. Talent stops showing up because they no longer see their future within you. You got to go back and reevaluate what you're providing to them. Right? And a lot of times it's not because they weren't talented to begin with, it's because your vision isn't large enough. Right? So what do we have to do? What do we have to think of, right? Before we even get to recasting our vision, let's remind ourselves, what does talent look like, right? We talked about in the higher class, talent shows up, they own the job, right? They push you, they find solutions versus finding problems. They want to be attracted to other talented people, right? We think about the Browns versus the Ravens. One team is pushing for a Super Bowl every year. The other team is just trying to fight to get to the playoffs, right? They want to be around people who want to do the same things they want. They want to push people to get better. Talent creates. Talent is a builder. They're establishing things that can help move that needle forward. They're establishing things. Now, if you have that talented person, if you have that creator, you have that builder, and in the first 90 days, they created everything, they built it. and now you don't have anything else for them to build or create, talent's gonna stop showing up. But what if the exact opposite is true? So talent was showing up, but talent didn't show all the way up, right? And the talent wasn't there. Now we have to look at measures that we can put in place to make sure that, one, we can get them back in line. We can get them back to where we want to be. Now, anybody who's worked in some major organization, you've heard of performance improvement plans or PIPs. What this should be used for, this should be used to realign the talent that you brought into the organization. At some point in time, you may have lost whatever that spark that they had that had them endeared to you. That performance improvement plan, I always think of everything as a measure to get them back to the talent that they were versus a measure to eliminate someone from the organization. So we could go through, and this is where I would tell you, if you have talent, you're probably going to do a 30, 60, 90 with them every 90 days. Why? Because that ensures that you're giving them a vision, you're giving them a goal, you're giving something to reach for on a regular basis. And now if you find that they're no longer reaching, they no longer want to get there, you should still be having your 401s, you should still have your goal review. What you'll find is you will probably realize what they are missing or what they want to achieve and why it's not within your business any longer, right? So now this gets, and I told you we would try to wrap up early. So I said we would go probably to 1, but yeah, I can get us wrapped up really the next 10 minutes. So the next key to this, we've built out great systems. You have the training process. That last line that you see, retain the employee. This is the part about you casting that vision. You continue to do the things to make sure that you're empowering them to do the job. Lonnie, you want to talk about the next class?
I would love to. Oh my God, thank you. Funny, you talked all morning and we're doing all these activities all about training. And I had to step out for a minute and you guys had the privilege of getting Brandon for today. But I had to step out for a minute to talk all about training with someone and how do you train people and how do you properly retain them and revolving door. So retaining people, here's the thing, you spend all this time looking at resumes, finding that empire builder, bringing them on, slow to hire, right, the right person. Then you prepare prior to bringing them on to get that 30, 60, 90 developed, right? Get their probationary period developed. You have everything in place preparation wise. So you spend some time, you time block to get all of that organized. What are their SMART goals? What will they start with? And it's never fun. And it's never a great feeling when you spend all that time and then all of a sudden you can't retain them. They leave. I don't know if this question was asked because I just stepped back in here, so I might be repeating a question, but it's a great question in my mind. Maybe it is to you too. But what would happen if you didn't have these things in place, you weren't able to retain people, and you had that revolving door? What would that do to? What would that do?
Kills your culture.
Kills your culture.
I mean, it freaks out everybody else that's on your team because they have to constantly fill in those gaps when you don't have, like, if that person leaves, in theory, there's a gap that they've left and everybody else has to cover it again. And it's very stressful for the rest of the team to go through over and over again.
Yeah, it's stressful with the team because you're right, there's gaps, right? Now they have to pick up the pace. Now they have to work double time, or they have to take on more, wear more hats. For you as a leader, is that more time going back to square one? Like,
You'd be better off not hiring someone. If you're not going to invest the time and energy to make it work, don't even hire them in the first place. You're creating more problems for yourself.
Mike just said, I love that. Mike just says it like it is, right? If you're not going to invest the time, right? And again, this is not an overnight process. So don't think you have to do all this in 1 week. That's also a big thing that I see from people is they're like, oh my God, I can't do this because I have to do it in 1 week. you can space this out, put a SMART goal around hiring for yourself. So if you're not going to invest the time, prepare, get the things in place to properly train them and the leverage in place, right? I'm sure Brandon talked about the leverage because you're not the only one that should be training them. Then you're absolutely right. You're not going to be able to retain them. So why spend the time? So our training is next Tuesday. I'm looking at my operations person because she keeps me on track, right? You hire the right person and they keep you in check. So the retaining portion of this class is next Tuesday, where we are going to spend time on what should your mornings look like to kickstart the day with these individuals. How do you hold them accountable and inspect what you expect as they're in the job? Right? How do you create that culture, as Brandon just said, how do you create that culture where they don't want to leave and you create a world big enough where there's opportunity for them to grow into, because that's also helping you retain them, right? And just little fun things that you can do on a team, because people want to have fun, right? You're at work more than you are, and you're with your people you work with more than you're probably with anyone else in your life. So shouldn't it be fun sometimes? Right? Work hard, play hard, isn't that the same? So another thing we're going to talk about next Tuesday is how do you bring that culture of fun into the atmosphere that people just don't want to leave, right? They enjoy coming to work. I was literally on a Zoom with someone and he actually looked at me and said, wow, you are really passionate about what you do. And I feel like you love what you do. And I was like, yeah, I don't work. I don't work. I love what I do. And that's what you want to create for the people you bring on your team, is this atmosphere where they come in and they love what they do. Don't get me wrong, we're going to all have something we don't like. Yes, we all have it. Right? There's always that moment in your day of like, oh my God, I have to do this. Right? Oh, I have to do paperwork or whatever that looks like. But the majority of it should not be that. Right? So that's really what we're going to talk about next Tuesday, is how do you keep them? You spent all this time. Let's keep them. I'd love to hear questions you have, AHAs, which by the way, AHA stands for Agents Helping Agents. So what are some questions? You spent all this time with Brandon, you went through these activities, you learned how to train people. What are some of the questions you have, and what are some takeaways? What are some AHAs that you took out of this?
I have a few. I'll start with my AHAs. The GPS portion was really, really good for me. Like that 5 minutes of just, what is my annual goal? What are my, 3 priorities to reach that goal and 5 strategies? That helped me kind of just pull all of my many, many thoughts together into a succinct plan. And that's part of what I really, really need. So that was a big aha for me. And it made me feel a whole lot less overwhelmed with my big vision, having that one goal and working out priority and strategies for that one goal. So that was a big aha for me. And going through the exercise of the 30, 60, 90 was, and Brandon continually reiterating that training is about me. That was a big aha as well. Questions that I have would be, so I really liked in the training packet how it kind of gave us a model of if you were looking to hire an executive assistant, for example. Are there other models like that of, what kind of roles and responsibilities for the different, what kind of expectations for the different roles that you might hire for, and then trying to determine all the training resources of all the things that KW presents to us or offers to us, how to sync them with the right role, to say, okay, this training would be good for this particular role, and this training would be good for that particular role. Is there any guidance on doing that?
That's a great question. There actually is. So KW, we have an online system called KW Connect. It's like an online university system, and there is a prescription tool that lives in there. Nicole, if you email me, I actually have it saved. I will send it to you because finding it is not the easiest thing, but there's literally a prescription tool that breaks down what is the pain point? What's the need, right? Oh, I need help with lead gen, or the goal is lead gen. And then it's prescribing different trainings for that, right? Or I need help with something totally different that I can't think of right now. It prescribes exactly, yes, it's literally called a prescription tool. So if you email me, I will get that to you this week.
I will
Emailing you right now. Thank you very much.
I will send it to everyone with the follow-up email that's coming after today. So everyone has that.
And this is why you bring on empire builders such as Melissa, so she can say things like that. Even
Thank
better.
you.
Everybody will get that. Great question. By the way, Nicole, for your GPS recommendation, I highly recommend, because you took so much away from that 5 minutes, setting aside about an hour in your calendar this week or this weekend, where you take your GPS and you break it down even more, looking at just the first quarter, not all of 2020, but 2022, but just your first quarter of 2022. What goals do you want to put on there? You shouldn't have more than 3. You can have just 1, by the way. What are the priorities for that goal? And then breaking it down to the nitty-gritty strategy and putting due dates behind those strategies. When do you want them done by? So it's really blocking it out in more detail for you. So that'll be kind of the next step to that activity that Brandon had you do to your GPS.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
And I just, while I have the floor, I just want to say that this was really, really helpful for me. I know, my face is not showing and I'm kind of in and out, but I get a lot out of these trainings. I'm taking great notes and it's really, really helping me feel confident about my vision and my business.
Thank you so much, Nicole. We love it. We love
Yes, I thank you both.
Love that. Let's
Yeah.
hear.
Take full advantage. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're getting a lot out of it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's hear from one more. Anybody else on here, or you can put it in the chat box, one thing you really took away from this.
This is Angeline, and my takeaway were the when we did the role play with the 90-60 and 30-60 and 90 days. And then, I've also, was taking some notes as well. Just to know, in turn, it's about having that proper training. And I think that's the key to everything is the training. And then to find that right fit that fits your culture when you're building your team.
Yes, love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Angeline. That is so true. It's having the right training. It all goes back to what you just said, having the right fit for your culture. Love that. Brandon, any closing remarks?
Well, I think that culture part is key, right? We talk about culture. Culture shows up in so many different elements, right? The elements that you find culture in, you're bringing somebody new into your world. That person that you bring in, we think about that first day conversation, right? If that first day conversation is about everything that they're going to do, because we're so excited they're coming in, that we're spewing on them what they're going to be taking care of and how much things are going to change because they're here, but they don't understand how they're going to do it, and they don't understand that yet, then what do they see about your culture, right? It's great that you're empowering, but are you leading them the right way? Well, when you're leading them, right, and you're giving them a proper model, now they see your culture as one where they're going to flourish, right? When the next person comes in, they're going to step up and they're going to lead the exact same way that you did, or they'll put an extra spin on it so they can be better at leading, right? But all of this, everything that we go through, right? We look at my GPS, my priorities. This is a part of establishing the culture that we want, because your culture will carry you in ways that you never thought possible. Your culture will be there when you can't. Your culture will be there. Your culture will be what talks to that associate or person that you're hiring when they're sitting at home by themselves, right? Nobody's standing on top of them. You're away, you have something that you're taking care of. You know what culture does? Culture is what makes them pick up the phone and call the next person. The culture that you build is what has them send that next email. The culture that you built, the culture that you have is what allows them to represent you in a certain fashion. That culture of growth, achieving goals, reaching our next step, you built it, you've shown them that the whole way through. That's what they'll expect, that's what they'll want to achieve. So Angeline, when you mentioned culture, no, that's a huge aha to me. And I think what you guys are putting away, what you guys are taking away the role play that we've done together, the notes, how this activity pack, how this thing is all laid out to help you establish not just the role that you're looking for, not just recognize that person, but to be able to talk about it in a way that establishes who you are and who you want to be. That is a huge takeaway. That means a lot. So my final words with that are, you guys are phenomenal. You guys are great. You guys are the empire builders. You hired yourself, your first associate. If you had a mirror around you, I'll tell you, look at the mirror right now, you were looking at your very first associate. What goals do you have lined up? What does your GPS say? Where are your 401? Are you the talent that other talent is going to be attracted to and want to come work with? Be that talent. You guys represent that to me, and I appreciate you guys being here today.
And I'll say, anything that you guys need, please absolutely reach out to us. Melissa's gonna be sending a follow-up email. It will have all of my information in it. It will have all of Brandon's information in it. So any questions you have, hiring, leading, training, it's not, if you've never done it, it is stressful in the beginning and it's not an easy feat. You're not alone. So please ask questions, reach out for help, meet with one of us, meet with both of us for that assistance.
All right. Thank you, guys.
One quick thing for Melissa. So the last week when the materials came out, I was able to save them in like Word and editable form. This week I wasn't able to do that for some reason. Is there any way she can maybe resend this week's material to me so I can edit it? Okay. Thank you. It may have been a way that I downloaded it. I don't know, but I couldn't edit the actual material.
That's how I sent it to you. But yeah, I will set it up so it's an editable PDF.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nicole.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. Have a great day.